Hello, hello, hello.
Here we go. Here we go.
Hey.
Did we tweet anything today?
No, we didn't.
Oh, that's
Monday.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Such a Monday move.
Yeah.
Just now remembered that. Thank you for oh, there's Cube. I was just gonna ask, where's Cube Jerome? And sure enough.
You gotta give Cube Jerome like at least 30 seconds. He will be there. Always.
Yeah, for sure. Dang it, I can't believe we didn't tweet.
We didn't tweet. No funny GIF. Like, come on.
Yeah.
No, or no funny GIF.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I better get a new graphics card soon. Every time, Brent. Every time.
I know. Did you go feed your giraffes?
No. Oh, damn it. All right. You win this time, Brent.
I think we're all winners. This is the debate that'll never die.
We are all gentlemen. Yeah.
Oh, all right. You know what? Now you both are teaming up with me. That's not cool.
That's amazing. That was a good one.
Oh man. Oh look, Alex Smasha. Hello.
Hey, good to see you, Alex Smasha. Welcome back.
Welcome back. So it is Monday today, and we had a weekend to reflect on all of our good fortunes ahead. I don't know what I'm saying right now. So
anyway, what did you do this weekend? I can tell you what I did.
I want to hear what you did because I know what you did, but let's talk about it.
I mean, I was like driving all weekend. I drove from California to Texas, back for the new season. So I'm back here for fall. It's amazing. Love it. Happy to be back. And 34 hours of driving in the car. Awesome. But
34 hours, yeah.
I mean, I made it. So that was good. We didn't stop. My wife and I, we would just trade driving duties and made it the whole way. So,
all right. But like in all seriousness, how much actual driving did you do? Like, because
you mean compared Tesla, versus autopilot?
Exactly.
The car drove itself almost the whole way.
Yeah.
You can't leave it alone. It occasionally does boneheaded things. I liken it to driving with a 16-year-old. Like the 16-year-old does a good job, like 99% of the time, but once in a while it dives into the turn lane, without you wanting to turn, and you have to like take over and get it back into the lane that you want to be in, or it gets too close to a semi and you almost die. But except for those times, it's a really great experience.
And it's got to be rare. I mean, listen,
it's rare.
But that's a good test to go that long, because I do, autopilot, Model 3, but like I love autopilot on the freeway and generally it's great. But I imagine long distance, you're really getting a full end-to-end test on that bad boy.
Absolutely. And it definitely helped us when it comes to being able to drive that far for, that amount of time. So because you aren't on edge quite as much, you can kind of let your guard down. I liken it to instead of you doing all the work, you set the parameters for how you want the work to be done. and then you just sit back and like monitor the situation and make sure that it's working within your parameters. And occasionally you might have to adjust your parameters, lower the speed, raise the speed, stuff like that. I guess that's really the only parameter you can adjust, but otherwise it's it's pretty great.
Yeah.
So
great. Yeah.
Sounds like
So did you
ECS.
find any like issues with the charging stations or anything like you could 34 hours? Yeah.
none.
None.
I would definitely, this has been the very best road trip car I've ever had. And it's amazing. I think there was a charging station about every 90 miles, and we would go like basically every other one. And we did find one or two, I'm not going to name cities, but we did find one or two that we were like, we are absolutely not coming back here.
Right.
One definitely, two maybe. But it would have to be like an emergency for us to go there. But all the other places were fantastic, and some of them were even utopia-like. I was like, holy crap, this place is amazing. So yeah, it was awesome.
I look forward to that curated list to review.
Yeah, it was in California, so I'll tell you which one to avoid for sure, and then where
I
the
feel
great
like I
one is.
know. I feel like I know. I don't know.
You might. By the way, on the way out there, we drove through the Mojave Desert, and our air conditioning had stopped working, and we were in a town in California that literally the day we were there and the time we were there set a worldwide record for how hot it was. It had never been that hot anywhere else on the planet. And we were there for that event without air conditioning. It was awesome.
That's horrible. That's horrible. And
Yeah.
why the heck was your AC not working? That is even crazier.
Well, I tweeted Elon and asked him, and he said, I'll take care of it. And he did. So it was all good.
Just a software update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No big deal. But
Patching,
okay.
probably. Yeah.
So look, Brent, you had a great drive.
Yeah.
But what are we going to talk about today? And actually this week, by the way. So we kind of, I think,
yeah.
Is it fair to say we've kind of decided as a group on a theme for the week?
We're really heaping some pressure on Justin for Thursday because so definitely most of the week. Let's just say that. And we'll give Justin the option for Thursday to come up with his own subject if it's, if he'd rather. But if he wants to stick with the theme and make it the whole week, then that's also okay.
And Pavan, what is that theme?
ECR, yeah. Elastic Container Registry.
Do we say Ecker?
Ecker, yeah.
Oh,
We need to get Omar on the call just to clarify this. So yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay. So ECR, Elastic Container Registry, in case you're not familiar, it's just our hosted, fully managed container registry in AWS. And so today, though, obviously you can see we have Pavan, who is our resident security expert. Have I said this before? I feel like it's like Mr. Rogers. Brent and I put on our little cardigans, and then we walk around the little village, and they have the little puppets who are like, the king. Like Pavan's like the king. So Pavan, what are we talking about in ECR with the specifically with, I know we're going to be talking security in ECR. So what are we talking about today?
Yeah. So ECR is a great service in terms of what it does and the amount of transactions we are seeing. So it's very popular with our customers, and we keep on adding very exciting features. And there is a few upcoming features which I'm very excited about. But this, yeah. So this, so this session we want to focus on something I wrote about with our engineer from ECR. His name is Lahiru Disaniake, and we wrote a blog around a launch. And thanks, Adam. So yeah, this is a blog we are talking about. End of July, we introduced a a really key feature which was requested by a lot of our customers, and that's to do with encrypting images which are stored in ECR with the integration through the integration with KMS. KMS is our key management service, AWS key management service, and it is the gold standard as far as storing and maintaining that life cycle of keys or encryption keys within your infrastructure. So when it was launched about 4 years ago, 5 years, I think, it established that baseline, a really high bar around how security, especially encryption and crypto, should be done, and that integration brings to our customers this ability to store and manage their keys at a secure level. So there are a couple of integrations we'll go through, and we'll explore kind of the highest level of security you can get through a service called Cloud HSM. You might have come across HSM as a device before, a physical device in your data center. HSM stands for Hardware Security Module, and its sole purpose is to ensure that your keys are stored securely. So essentially, we'll be talking about ECR and securing your container images within ECR using KMS, which brings in a high bar of security to you.
Nice. Just curious, why?
Why? Yeah, that's a great point. And that's a great question around what we do is through Containers Roadmap, we ask our customers on what they would like, and we had an issue open, issue number 52, around I think this is one of our customers probably. Well, no, they are within our team, but essentially they got feedback from a lot of our customers through likes on this issue on our Containers Roadmap, saying we want this. So here, like, we had N. Marchini, who said, when this is available, any updates on this? Disgruntled. So yeah, understandable. It's a good idea.
Yeah, just default position.
Yeah.
And Alex Masha is kind of reinforcing my question. Other than compliance, what real risk are we mitigating by using server-side encryption? AWS employees removing a hard drive with your data on it? And then, of course, Con Paul, why? Compliance regulations of, yes, of course. But compliance is a thing for a reason, you know, and if you step back and you say, I'm just doing this to be compliant, it's better for you to take that next step and say, why is it important to meet this compliance standard? Why is it important to do the things that are in this compliance, you know, document or recommended by the compliance body? And I think you know, an employee removing a hard drive is unlikely, you know, but the fact that we can make it so trivially easy to guard against that, why not do it? You know, like, what's the downside at this point? So I think there's, you know, that's one possible response to why not? And when you get into, like, I know you're probably going to tell us about HSM and how it works, so I'll stop there and let you go on.
No, that's great. So that's a really good response in terms of why. I mean, security is always like viewed as layers around how much can you, so defense in depth basically, and how much difficult can you make for the attacker to get to the data. And for many enterprises and many customers who are using ECR, they want some sort of control over what they are storing with the cloud provider. And we have sort of responded to these requests right from the very beginning. Like when we created AWS Cloud, every like security is job zero. That's the messaging that our CISO Steve Schmidt sends out and has been presenting for years now. So so because we want our customers to have different options for implementing those layers, this is just one of the layers through which customers have full control around their environments. So they can create the key within KMS, they can enable the key, and they can disable the key as well. And what disabling the key would do is make all these images which are stored within ECR unusable. So they can have full control over the usage of their data.
And this is how you might also be able to grant or deny. One other way for you to be able to grant or deny access is by granting or denying usage of that key. You said something about security and layers and that sort of thing. And one of the things that sort of, I don't know, in my own head early on in my career that I thought about when it comes to security is almost always a trade-off. You're increasing security, but it's almost always at the expense of convenience. You know, it was super convenient to telnet into a server, and it was much less convenient to have to generate an SSH key and confirm public keys and SSH into a server. That's maybe a bad example, but it's still an example. It's like you're always trading just a little bit of convenience for increased security. But I think when AWS comes along and they build some of these integrations into their service, they always try to keep it extremely simple. So it's a matter of just turning it on, and then it's not really any more inconvenient. You haven't really increased or decreased convenience, but you have substantially increased security still. So this is when the customer wins, when options are added like this that don't really have additional hoops that you have to jump through to use them.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what we'll see in this implementation as well. I think one of the key features I wanted to highlight, which I tried to using this diagram on the screen, is that I mean we can start with a demo, but I can just go through what we have on the screen right now. Just take a minute to explain that, and then we can jump into this quick demo. It's a really fundamental demo, but as some of the viewers might know, like containers are built up of layers, and each layer is stored as a file, and they are put together as a container when you sort of build that image and when you store it in your repository. So one of the key things that our engineers did was the way they implemented this feature is quite unique in terms of every layer has a separate decryption or data encryption key embedded into the layer. So when I sort of try to highlight this particular key within image layer 1, that is a unique data encryption key which is generated by the master key within KMS for that layer. So you won't find the same data encryption key in layer 2 or layer 3, just because that's the way we have implemented the solution out there, the feature. So what that means is when you pull in a new layer, you would essentially create a new data encryption key and then use that to encrypt that new layer. So
and what that guards against, I guess, is if that key is ever compromised, you don't expose all of your other data. You only are exposing the data found in that one layer of that one image. And if that image is months old, it may not even be relevant anymore. It may not even be that useful. Or if it's the layer that is from Ubuntu latest, then who cares? That's not even super useful. So yeah, that's, I guess, using a unique key. Again, it's one of those things where why not? Like if we can make it easy, then why not do it? Because it definitely raises your security posture.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at one of the quick examples and take a look at the feature actually, so that we get hands-on into how this is implemented. And as you said, Brent, sorry, I'm just trying to. Okay, fair enough. I'm just confused by the mouse on the screen. So this will show how seamless is the implementation, where customers don't see a difference or change in their workflow. The only change they see is when they create the repository, and it's a minor change. And we've tried to make it simpler by the updated UI. So here I have so it's as simple as going on the console and creating get started on create a repository. Right now I don't have any repositories in this particular account, so I'm just going to create a repository. And let's start with a simple example where I'm just creating an Nginx repository, and I don't have scan on push. I mean, image scan settings. This is something new to me. I haven't seen this before. So
where it does the vulnerability scan built into ECR, and then can give you a report on any CVEs that might be in that image.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
That's what
Nice.
that was for. Yeah. So I was waiting for Adam to put in the plug. So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is what we're talking about tomorrow. It's an amazing feature, and I'll leave it to Adam to go into really in-depth discussion around it tomorrow. So looking forward to that. But yeah, other than image scan settings, we have encryption settings, which was what this feature introduced. By default, even before this feature was live, so that everyone's aware, ECR uses S3 to store the images, and S3 uses AES 256 encryption standard. So by default, the ECR images were stored in a secure way, industry standard accepted AES 256 encryption algorithm. So they were stored. So even if you don't click on this setting, like if you don't enable this setting, this images are stored using a high encryption, like an accepted encryption algorithm. When you enable it, that's when the magic happens, where you have the two options to use an AWS managed key, CMK, or a key that you want to create. So when you check this checkbox around customize encryption settings, this is when you're able to select your keys. And this is nice, where these keys are pulled in from my KMS account within the same region. So I have a few keys which I created for demo purposes, and I have this option. So if I click on this option, it pulls in the details and the link to that key.
Hey,
what
Bob.
that does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you maybe talk about the different ways, maybe for those who aren't, deeply familiar with KMS, the different ways of creating keys in KMS?
You got it. Yeah, thanks, Adam. So yeah, we'll let me click on this link, and that would help us answer the request. So so this pulls in, brings me to KMS console. And when let's say you're new to KMS, you have the interface which lets you create a key, and it's pretty straightforward. We announced this new feature around asymmetric keys a few months ago, I think it was Reinvent, but I may be wrong. But yeah, it's a pretty recent feature, which is great. Symmetric keys is what we are using in this example. And here are the options. So to answer sort of Adam's question around, okay, what are the different ways customers can store keys within KMS? There are three key options. So the key options are KMS external key. So if you want to bring your own key from your own, like created within your own HSM, because of some compliance reasons or your security regulations within the industry you're operating, whether it's financial services or healthcare, you can do that. So you can bring in your own key, which meets your entropy sources and the standards you want to adhere to. So that's external. And then the other option, which is custom Keystore, a new feature we announced in 2018, I think. And that's a great integration between KMS and Cloud HSM. So what it does is it helps you manage your Cloud HSM keys through KMS. So here's the link, so where you can see all your custom key stores, and I have created one for you. So essentially, sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, just really quick, Pav. So with the KMS key, the keys are automatically rotated with the KMS service, right? So rotation is done behind the scenes. But what about when I bring my own key? Am I then responsible for rotation and thinking about that as well?
Yeah. So let's take a look at the EKS workshop key we create during the EKS workshop process, and the cryptographic configuration gives you some more detailed understanding of where the key is stored. It's created and stored within AWS Cloud, AWS KMS HSM, and it's a symmetric key, and it's used to encrypt and decrypt. Now, the rotation piece is something that you enable. So customers can, if they want to rotate the keys, they can click check this box, and it will automatically rotate it every year. So this is the accepted standard around CMKs or master keys, where they need, generally regulations are around rotating them every year, every 12 months.
Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's a couple of questions. Let me see if I can find them real quick. And I know you're walking through the console experience of ECR and key integration. Paul wants to know any plans to deliver KMS options for ECR repository CloudFormation. And I believe the answer is yes. And we definitely work with the CloudFormation team to get those kinds of features added, and we're working on that. So I can't give you any kind of date, but hopefully soon. But yeah, it's definitely something that we want to accomplish. And then Alex Smasha, KMS only handles the keys to encrypt and decrypt data, doesn't actually store data. Gotcha. And yeah, that's absolutely the case. And in fact, the keys never leave. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pavan, but the key itself never leaves KMS, right? So there's no way to accidentally leak the private key or anything like that. It's like always in KMS, and you effectively send it the data and let it encrypt, and then it sends you back the encrypted blob. Is that a good way to summarize it?
That's right. Yeah. So that's exactly the way. So let me see if I can bring this up. So I think a key concept to understand here is envelope encryption, where the reason why encryption technologies use envelope encryption is to do exactly what you just mentioned, Brent. So the master key, the CMK, which I just showed you on the KMS console, that never leaves the HSM. So that's where the intelligent stuff is happening, where it's used to generate the data key. So the master key is used to generate the data key, and then the data key is the one which is used to encrypt the text or the material you want to encrypt. And then the data key is encrypted again, and it's stored alongside the ciphertext which is generated, so that the whole blob of encrypted data is self-sufficient. So and that's what happens in the case of KMS as well. So once this encrypted message is created with the encrypted data key, and that's what I intend to show in that blog visual as well, where each layer has an encrypted data key stored within that layer. So when the layer is pointed to KMS for decryption, so when you are pulling the image, not when you're pushing the image, when you're pulling the image, a request is made out to KMS saying, oh, I need to decrypt this layer. This is the layer content and the metadata, and KMS sort of accepts it through a KMS decrypt call. And then it says, I have the metadata, I have the keys, CMK, which I need to run this against, this decrypt call against. And then it will do that, decrypt the encrypted data key, which is shown here, and then use that decrypted data key to decrypt the ciphertext again. So that's the process that goes through, and we've made it seamless so that there is no performance impacts for our customers. And once they create this CMK, once they create this repository on ECR using CLI or console, their workflow, like the push and pull workflow for the images, remains the same. They don't see any difference there.
That's awesome. And the scene, man, this is so hard to do on your own. Like, this is such a complex setup, and the fact that it's just turned into its own service and directly integrated in with ECR, and it's greatly simplified. It makes it so easy. Brycon asks, when KMS keys are rotated, does stored encrypted data in external systems need to be re-encrypted, or can it still be decrypted? And I think that's one of the reasons that we use the separate master key and data key, right? Because you can then rotate them almost independently from each other. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I'm just reading the question again. When KMS keys are rotated, does stored encrypted data in external systems need to be re-encrypted, or can it still be decrypted? So in this case, I think the rotation, like you'd have to re-encrypt the data because you're bringing in a new key. So I think I haven't tested it myself, but once the keys are rotated, then you have a new set of cycles which are explained. So you would need the data to be encrypted using the new KMS keys, the new one which is generated using after the rotation.
So if I understand that correctly, scenario might be we push an image to ECR, we have that checkbox to rotate our key annually.
Mm-hmm.
So after a year, we might not be able to pull that image anymore. We might have to like re-push it.
That's correct. So I think one thing to be aware of is we haven't enabled that feature yet around the rotation piece. So customers shouldn't be using the rotation checkbox when they're creating the CMK. So that is something that we are working on. But right now, the implementation as it stands is with the use of KMS keys without rotation.
Gotcha. And for the moment, the walkthrough with ECR doesn't really present you with the option to rotate the key.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you clarified that, because I can see how someone might expect to, after watching this video, someone might expect to be able to do that. So I'm glad we could clarify that.
Yeah. So and it's so easy for customers to create a new key, that they can create a new key and start using that key and disable the old key which they've been using. So rather than rotating the key, I don't know how tightly coupled the code is in terms of using that particular key, but if you are enabling a separate set of keys like every year, then that's a way around this limitation, if it exists within the next year.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So again, I mean, to demonstrate another example of a key being used, which is backed by Cloud HSM, HSM, is this example. So when you create a custom key store, the origin will be AWS Cloud HSM. So that's an important thing to note. And again, if you're bringing in your own key using external option, you'd have external in the origin, so you'd know where the key has been generated. In this case, we generated our CMK using AWS Cloud HSM, and we have a custom key store ID which we saw in the KMS console. So this is good, as you mentioned, Brent. Doing this on all by yourself is going to be time consuming. It needs operations, it needs security professionals to take a deep dive into what they're building and making sure they're building the right thing. So this is a project which could go on for at least a few months, but probably more than a year. If I mean, we'll go through the benefits of using Cloud HSM and the scenarios when you can use it. I also, I don't know whether we'll have the time. We'll have the time to look through this, but I also have a scenario where we are kind of building a microservice. So if you don't have the time today, we have a tech talk scheduled for Friday this week, and I cover this feature in a lot more detail around running through the scenario. So essentially, it brings in a few of the feature announcements which we made recently around Fargate ephemeral encryption, ephemeral storage encryption on PV 1.4. So if you, the way, and here's the thing, Brent, I mean, the way enterprises and customers build microservices and have security requirements, they're not in isolation. So they come up with these like this is sample requirement, let's say assumptions where business and security compliance teams have said, you're building a microservice, it handles personal information, you have to comply with these requirements. So they give the developers or the team a set of requirements they need to build upon. So here we have a notional example where we need to comply against HIPAA and PCI DSS as the base infrastructure. We need to encrypt our container runtime storage whilst the container is running, and we need to be in control of the keys which are being used to encrypt our images, which is enabled through this feature. So to bring all this together, you need a platform which allows you to do that real quick. And within the tech talk, I would I go ahead and explain how to create it within a few minutes. So basically, you can meet all these requirements, and you'd build this service, this microservice, which manages and sort of processes personal information or even payment card information, and meets all these requirements within a matter of minutes, rather than spending years to put this together.
It's pretty fantastic.
Okay. So here's coming back to the point around custom key stores. Here's when I click on custom key store, it brings me to the custom key store link, and within the KMS we have the cluster, which is storing your CMK. And to build a custom key store within Cloud HSM, you need at least 2 HSMs running, and HSMs are pretty expensive sort of hardware. If someone's dealt with it, they'd know like how expensive they are to procure and to run. But with AWS, you can create an HSM within like about 20 minutes. So that's a great feature. And then you'd have those 2 HSMs running, but more importantly, you'd have the backups being taken every day. So you have 24-hour backups generated for those HSMs, which you can create those HSMs from. So if you say you've missed, you want to revert back to a state, you can always pull or restore a backup and go back there and have your keys like CMKs within that backup.
Okay, so now let's say I'm not PCI compliant. I have no HIPAA requirements. I'm coming in. I want to, however, I still want security, right? I want to encrypt wherever I can. Should I use Cloud HSM, or is that overkill?
I think it's an overkill. I mean, Cloud HSM is for specific requirements, and it's not cheap. So if you, I think it's not available on free tier, obviously for obvious reasons. But yeah, if you are bringing up a Cloud HSM, be aware of have a look at the pricing and have a look at what you're trying to achieve. One of the key things around Cloud HSM is the HSM meets a really high bar around security. So people who are aware of FIPS 140-2 validation standard, which is the baseline for how cryptography is implemented within an HSM or within a particular encryption algorithm, let's say OpenSSL. These are all evaluated using FIPS 140-2, and Cloud HSM has been evaluated to be operating at level 3 overall, so which is a really high bar around operating an HSM. So, and the underlying hardware is it meets that level of standard. So all the crypto algorithms which are being used in that hardware are all tested against entropy, against the quality of randomness and everything, and it meets those high bars. So if you have a requirement to go with level 2 FIPS 140-2, then you can use KMS HSM, which is what we do. So in this case, if I don't select this option, and if I just select the Tech Talk KMS HSM, then it's been created using just KMS. So the origin is AWS KMS, and this is perfectly usable. And it, as long as there are compliance requirements to use an HSM, which is in a shared environment, so it has those controls in place, then you can go ahead and use KMS. I think we have a list. We have a list of requirements where we suggest when to use Cloud HSM. So I think I cover that in a tech talk as well. So if you want more details, do join in on Friday.
Nice. So Alex Smasha asks, just wondering, now that I understand this a little bit better, what happens if you remove HSM from the system accidentally or during maintenance? Will this cause downtime on a cluster, for example, or not? Yes, it'll cause downtime.
I think there's one clarity, I mean, a little piece around clarity. I'm being pedantic, but it's just a case of when you say when you mention you, when like you as in as a customer.
I think if I'm interpreting the question, I think what he's saying is if HSM is unavailable while you're trying to decrypt or even, I guess, encrypt, bits of data, and yeah, as a customer, yes. So what happens? What's the behavior?
Yeah, I think so. The behavior would be your application would kind of pull the image, and if you're pulling the image, it will make a decrypt call, and it wants to decrypt the data encryption key, and then it will say, I can't find the HSM to which I'm making the KMS decrypt call, or I can't find the CMK where the HSM, like where it's being stored. So that will throw an error which you can catch. I think one of there's a few errors you can catch within your code, and if that's the case, you can architect around it. But yeah, once the HSM is up, you'll be able to decrypt your image just fine. Pull the layer.
Yeah, and it's probably worth mentioning one more time that the data in your HSM never leaves the HSM. So, that's why there are two of them running. I don't know, is it active or active standby? Do you know that arrangement?
They are both active, yes. For custom Keystore, they need to be operating as a cluster, and yeah, they are active.
And then the backups are the other, critical piece, because, if the worst happens and you lose, for whatever reason, the HSMs and the data that they are holding, then you're not going to be able to get that data back. So having the backup of your keys is going to be really nice.
Yeah. So that's a quick kind of overview around what this feature does. We can certainly sort of see it in action. And one of the things KMS provides, which we didn't cover, is once you create these keys, you have control around them. So you can, on the drop down, you can see that you can disable them. You can schedule the deletion of the key as well. So let's say you want to use it for a bit and then delete them in 30 days, then you can do that as well. And that if I disable the keys, then you won't be able to pull that image. Let's try to do that. I mean, why not? So
Love it.
I'm going to create a repository here, Nginx. I'll just create that repository.
Beat me to it. I was going to hit the doing it live button, but he did it first.
Great. Okay, so here, scan and push disabled encryption type KMS. So we have a repository up and running. That's great. And now we will. Okay. We'll just do a simple Docker pull Nginx latest. I don't have any local Docker images. So here we are just pulling the images, right? So Docker, and here's just one image within my local machine. If I want to sort of tag this particular image, which is already there, I'll just tag it, and then I have the repository created and just tag it as latest, and then do a Docker push Nginx latest, right? So I'm just going to push that. Okay, so here I think I need to use ECR get login to authenticate against ECR, and then it will allow me to push. Yeah,
that is a semi-new option for the AWS CLI, the AWS ECR get login password. So if you're out there and you're reading blogs referencing ECR that are a few months or more old, you might see the get login option, and then how we handle that. This is a new option that we think is just a little bit simpler to use with Docker login. So definitely convert any scripts or anything you have to using this, but it does require a slightly newer AWS CLI.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Brian. So what we have done here is we pushed our local nginx image, and here you can see like there are what 5 layers, and so as to what I described, those 5 layers have got a unique data encryption key through which they are encrypted now within ECR. So what did we right? So here you can see the push which happened, and I'm just trying to see what key did I use. So yeah, I'm using a KMS HSM just to make sure we have that right. So now that we've pushed the image, we will try and pull it.
Yeah.
But we want to pull this image, right? Okay. Right. So let's pull the image, and if I look at the images, we have 2 here in the one that we pulled.
Just for perfect, let's do a Docker, what is it? Prune all?
Yeah,
Prune
yeah. I have that system prune A, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
So right now, and now I don't have any local images, right?
Yeah.
Now we'll go back, and is that what you're planning to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I go into the KMS console, just to make sure that it's the same key, let's look at what key is it. I'll click on the key, and then here we are, KMS HSM, and it's stored in KMS. But then I don't like the developer who's not following the instructions and the security policies, so and increasing the risk for the organization. So yeah, let's let's try and pull that image again. There you go.
Nice.
So you are in being informed around the exact reason why you cannot access it, because of the key. So that key is disabled, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not allowed to pull that image. So it's a great control in terms of restricting the access as well.
Nice.
One of the other feature that KMS provides is the key policy. So you can view or restrict particular users to do a certain actions on certain principles and everything that comes with a policy, which you may have seen. So that along with who is allowed to delete the keys, who are the users who can access the keys, and all these options give customers a lot of control around how they want to manage the keys. So that comes with the KMS kind of key management service lifecycle. So if you have a key, a cryptographic sort of lifecycle around managing those keys, KMS provides the whole lifecycle to our customers, and that's why it's really valuable. So we do all the heavy lifting around managing the compliance, keeping the high bar, and then customers just get the product. As in, the other thing is KMS is also integrated with a lot of our services. I haven't used all of our services in this account, but with Lightsail or even with ECR, with this particular feature, if you don't want to do the heavy lifting of managing the keys yourself, you don't have the appropriate skills within the team, you can always rely on AWS to do it for you, and we do it through AWS managed keys. So so that's the
Nice.
additional feature where you.
And what is it that Werner says? Encrypt everything, like everyone's watching. What is that?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So encrypt
Somebody said-
everything, like everyone's watching, and dance like no one, or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's based off of one of.
Yeah.
I totally.
Yeah,
butchered
you
it.
did.
Yeah.
Just encrypt everything. Why not?
Yeah, encrypt everything. All right. Well, this is good. We're getting close to time.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions out there that would be good wrap up questions, definitely throw them in the chat. Alex Smash containers from the couch with the sayings. Yeah, we'll have to get better about that. Quoting you, if you're going to quote Werner, then you need to be able to quote Werner.
Dance like nobody's watching. Encrypt like everyone is.
There you go.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So your blog post that you were referencing, is that out, or is it on its way out?
The blog post was out in July. Yes,
That's right.
Brent. So
That's right.
So yeah, the blog post is out. Take a look. There is you can track it on the containers roadmap as well. And then what I do in the tech talk is use a few security features together. We announced server-side encryption, again using KMS for Fargate. So how can you put all these together and create a microservice? That's kind of an interesting real world, or near to a real world example, which you can take a look there. So Friday, I think you can register, but that's a great one to attend if you want.
Yeah, definitely sign up, attend that tech talk. It's going to be great. Again, led by Pavan, encryption extraordinaire, security wizard. And yeah, definitely join. It's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah, and before we close, Brent, just a quick pointer to the documentation. It gives you some really good in-depth idea if you want to dive deep into how this happens. How does ECR encrypt, and then a few pointers around permissions, different permissions which you require to delete the repository. So you need a KMS retire grant permission on the key for whoever's managing the key. So those are a few detailed things we didn't cover, but it's something that you can look into in the documentation of ECR.
Awesome.
Beautiful. So tomorrow we're going to talk about ECR image scanning. We have a cool little demo. We'll do some dev SecOps, and it's going to be really, really special.
Are we going to push it to the left?
I mean, we're going to
shift left. Is that
shift left? Yeah.
Shift left. Okay. Thank you.
So I think on that note, we're good. So thank you everybody for joining. We will see you tomorrow. And if there's any parting words, now's your time, or forever hold your peace. Too late.